Getting kills obviously means everything in a match. Lost your up rank game? Hey, at least you had a positive KD. Not sure what to put in your Tinder profile? Smack that beautiful max kills you have ever gotten on there. But what even is the max amount of kills you can get in a standard game of Valorant? Is it 50, 60, maybe even 70? And how about the absolute max kills if we allow any game mode? Well, I'm going to be honest with you, my dear viewer. If you thought calculating the max damage to a person was brain melting, you know what? I'm not even going to warn you. We all love a little bit of a challenge every now and then, don't we? And as a cherry on top of the cheesecake, at the end I will also reveal the max amount of kills you can get in a single round. But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Let's tackle the question of what actually counts as a kill. But first, ad time. You and I are both gamers. And gamers spend a lot of time on the internet. Which is a beautiful but also a dangerous place. In nowadays society where privacy is continuously breached for the sake of security, it's becoming harder and harder to stay anonymous. If this is something you don't like to happen to yourself, I got the right sponsor for you, NordVPN. With NordVPN, you don't only make it more difficult for hackers to hack you and single moms in your area to find you, but simultaneously also allow you to watch certain country-locked content by changing your IP to that location. NordVPN is one of the fastest VPNs out there, and depending on your location, your internet speed might not be changed at all. Nord is also completely risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee policy, and if you check out this 2-year plan, you get 4 months for completely free. Click the link in the description to get started. So, what counts as a kill and what does not? If we do a little throwback to my 7K video, we already concluded that the only thing that counts as a kill is what ups your scoreboard counter by 1. So, Phoenix in his ult does not count, and neither does downing KO. Does that mean that the max kills we can get is simply 5 times the amount of rounds we play? If that's so, then the max kills is calculated by adding up the 12 rounds on each side plus 1 overtime round, which makes 25 rounds, where we continuously ace, which gives 125 kills. That's a lot more than I expected already. But the craziest thing is that we can get way more if we do some ability shenanigans, or for example go into replication, which result in us possibly absolutely shattering this current kill record. Starting with the ability shenanigans. What can we do? Well, sadly this part is going to be a little bit tricky because of this nice agent that makes every hypothesis ever just slightly more annoying. Introducing enemy Sage with her ability to revive someone. This revived soul, as opposed to Phoenix and Chaos ults, does count as an extra kill for us on the scoreboard. But Archmitten, says Lil Timmy. That means you just have to calculate 6 times the amount of rounds we play. It's not rocket science or something. Well, Lil Timmy, you absolute fool. If you paid attention during my 7K video, you would already know that the enemy Sage can sacrifice a teammate twice in a round if things are set up correctly. Meaning in some rounds, or maybe even all of them, we can get a 7K. So, what do we need to set up? Sage's ult requires 8 ultimate points. To understand how to fill up these points, we first need to take a look at the actions that award you a point. Those 5 actions are grabbing an ult orb, killing an enemy, dying to an enemy, and planting or defusing the spike. Let's start with the ult orbs. This one is quite simple to maximize its potential. All we have to do is play on Fracture. As much as I dislike Fracture, it has something that other maps do not have. Which is, instead of 2 ultimate orbs, it has 4 of them. Meaning every round, the enemy Sage can get 4 ultimate points for completely free. Moving on to killing an enemy, just like the enemy Sage sacrifices herself and her teammates to us in the name of science, we also have to sacrifice some of our teammates to her. Which means she gains an additional 4 ultimate points per round, correct? Well, like I said, anything that involves Sage makes it infinitely more complicated. If we also play Sage ourselves and add another orb counter to the screen to track things easier, we can possibly sacrifice 4 of our teammates plus 1 for the good cause. Meaning she can sometimes gain 5 ultimate points instead of 4 from slaughtering us. We will ignore this counter for now, as we haven't even concluded how many orbs Sage can get per round, but don't worry, this little headache will definitely come back to haunt us in a hot second. Let's move on to dying. If at the end of the round we kill the enemy Sage, she gets another point, plus 1. And finally, by her planting or defusing the spike, which depends on the side she's playing on, she can get another ultimate point. This means that the enemy Sage can get every round a total of at least 4 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1, 10 points. And occasionally, if we manage to fill our own orb counter to 8 and revive someone, she can get 11 points. This means that every round we can guarantee get a 6k, meaning our max kills is now upped by 25, and roughly every third round we get a 7k. I won't bore you with all the maths and everything that went into making this sheet, but basically after calculating all of this, I concluded that the max amount of kills you can get in a standard game of Valorant is 158 kills. And the average round would look like this. Enemy Sage runs a marathon to grab all the orbs, she then kills all of our allies and we in return kill her allies. Enemy Sage then commits ungodly practices by reanimating the dead and we put it back to rest. Enemy Sage then plants the spike, we defuse it and kill the enemy Sage. But then it hit me. I made a mistake. And this mistake isn't about all of this that I just explained. It's about the teeniest tiniest thing that happens when we charge our own orb counter. So let me explain how that works and how we can get even more than 158 kills. Alright, take your breather, lay back and relax and allow me to explain at what rate we fill our own orb counter. If we look at the actions we can do, we can already conclude that we can't pick up any orb points. This means that the only way to gain orb points is by ourselves killing the enemies, dying and planting/defusing. Every round we can kill, like we concluded, 6 enemies or occasionally 7 of them. We can guaranteed defuse or plant the spike as well for another orb, but we can't guarantee our death, as we have to be alive to kill the enemy Sage for one final time. Or do we? If we play for example Raze, we can kill Sage in the afterlife if we throw a nade at her while she's killing us, resulting in us getting the final 8th orb point. But the problem is, we have to play Sage for all of this to work, and she doesn't have any damage dealing abilities. Meaning we can't kill the enemy Sage in the afterlife. Or can we? Well, this absolutely blew my mind, but we can. And not only did this blow my mind, but also blew this entire calculations I made prior to this point, as I previously concluded before even writing the script that I can't... If we down the Sage to 1 HP by shooting her 3 times in the leg with a Phantom, the game knows that we did the most recent damage to her. So if we then let her kill us, we are still remembered by the game as the most recent damage dealer. If you somehow take fall damage and die to it in a match, the game is coded to give it to the recent damage dealer. Because we did 99 damage to her and are the most recent damage dealer, we will get the ult point in the afterlife if the enemy Sage commits this thing you should never do. Question: how can we get her to, kill herself? Well, the fall damage. But where? Fracture isn't an easy map like Splitter Haven where you can take fall damage easily. But luckily there's this one spot in the tower. But the issue is that this is kinda far away from the bomb site. We need to defuse and then kill ourselves quickly. And luckily, and God bless us, because otherwise this all wouldn't have worked, Sage has a wall that she can use to boost herself up to a higher platform. Like this ledge on bomb site A. Which means she can break her ankles quickly and easily even after planting or defusing the spike. It almost starts to feel like Riot wants me to make this video, because it all just lines up way too well. By doing all of this, we can every round, aside from the first, revive a teammate. Which means we can every round, aside from the first, give the enemy Sage 11 points. If we add up all these new events and do some Omega brain maths, we can conclude that the max amount of kills you can get in a standard game of Valorant is actually a whopping 160 kills. Yep, after all that math and brain crunching, we only managed to squeeze out 2 final kills. To be fair, 160 is a lot and still an insane amount of kills. But my thirst hasn't been quenched yet. Can we get even more max kills in a Valorant match if we go into another game mode? Let's take a look at the current contesters. We have Replication, Escalation, Deathmatch, Spike Rush, Competitive and Custom Game. Let's ignore Competitive and Custom as you obviously can get way more kills with infinite overtime or cheats, so we are left with Replication, Deathmatch, Spike Rush and Escalation. Now, you would expect that in Replication, a game mode with potentially 10 Sages, that you could easily shatter the kill record. But because in Replication you can only play a maximum of 9 rounds, we can't get even close to the current record. And sadly, if we go into any other game mode, we can once again not beat the 160 kills record. It's a lot, but I wish we could do more. Now that we devoured the max kills in a match cheesecake, let's have a look at the max kills in a round cherry. And just like a cherry is small, I'm going to keep this short. Basically, if we have 5 enemy Sages with their ultimates ready, and on our team we also have 5 Sages with ultimates ready, we can get a total of 11 kills in 1 round. All you have to do is this. Super simple, you got this, good luck champ. Big shout out to Wille Hyde for the beautiful Excel sheets, and subscribe please, thank you.